What up, folks? This is a video that I really hope that you do your due diligence and do your homework on. And it's about what I would say is our favorite football player right now, Colin Kaepernick. Now, I'm not going to get all off into what he's doing. We know what it is. And personally, he has the right to do what he wants to do. So, anyone who wants to challenge me on that, I've said, hey, he's got the right to do what he wants to do. But I'm curious as to his motives for doing it. Now, he says he's doing this as a way to protest the bad treatment that people of color get at the hands of the police. Okay, that's fine. But I'm just curious, what's making him do this now? Before before we get all off into that, we got to look into his background. Google him and look up the information I'm citing is off of Wikipedia. So do your damn research. You know, Colin was born to a black man and a white woman. You know, his dad played no part in his life. In his defense, even when Colin became wealthy and famous as a football player, he still has stayed away, far as we know. And to his mother's credit, she apparently felt she could not raise him, so she put him up for adoption. And this happened in Milwaukee. Colin was adopted by this white family, the Kaepernick, since his last name, in this little town called Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Predominantly white town. After Colin was about 4 or 5 years old, the family moved to this little town in Northern California. And he apparently, I would assume, just grew up a middle-class kid. You know, possibly upper middle class, went on to high school, played football, basketball, got a scholarship to Nevada. And eventually got drafted by the 49ers. Oddly enough, according to the Wikipedia page, he wanted to play for the 49ers or the Packers. So the vibe you get from him was he was a little biracial kid who grew up in white suburbs, was around white people most of his life. Which brings me to the point that I've always observed. It seems to me that the most virulent pro-black people usually tend to be one of three things. They either grew up in the suburbs, away from the hood, as it were, or they're very light-skinned, or they're biracial. And I always wonder, why was that? For the suburban one, could it be because there's this, and people like Sergeant Willie Pete, they've mentioned this, do they have suburban guilt? And they feel they got to get their street cred or some kind of crazy way. They're light-skinned or biracial. Do they have to prove that they're just as black as us dark-skinned folks? It's something to think about. Because I'm asking, why now? Colin Kaepernick burst onto the scene. He's this clean-cut looking kid. He had the tattoos. That's not an issue now because just about all athletes have tattoos. But now, you see him, he's got the braids, and now he's walking around with an afro. And I'm just wondering, what happened? He's converted to Islam, where for the longest time he was a devout Christian. It's like, what happened? Is his girlfriend, who I think is this DJ, a music personality who I guess is pro-black, has, she, you excuse the expression, put that thing on him and flipped on his black switch, and he wants to prove his loyalty and prove how black he is. You know, does he has he gotten tired of people saying that he's not black enough, the way they were telling Russell Wilson the same thing up in Seattle? And if you think about it, Russell Wilson is kind of going through the same thing. I think that maybe one reason he married Sierra. Also, as a sidebar, you ever notice? Well, and I looked, I've not seen any pictures of Russell Wilson's mother. Just saying. Something else to think about. Did he have his nigger moment? I said when Chip Kelly became coach of the 49ers, Colin Kaepernick's days were numbered. Go back and look over Chip Kelly's tenure in Philadelphia. More than a few black players were chafing at the way Chip Kelly ran that team. They said, he don't know how to talk to people. Now, you have to understand something about Chip Kelly as a sidebar. And it's kind of funny because people, when it comes to, and I don't know if Chip Kelly is a racist or not, but when it comes to racism, a lot of blacks, particularly in the North and the out West, they always view white people from the South as being racist. Well, the beautiful part about Chip Kelly, the man has no connection to the South. He was born and raised in friggin' New Hampshire. Got his start in football in New Hampshire. Went on to coach at Columbia. Was coaching in Oregon before he got the job in Philly. So he's got no connection to the South. And the man may have an issue with black players. So, my northern and west coast brothers, stop talking about the South. Up north and out west is just as bad, if not worse, because it's a lot more subtle. Malcolm X said it best. Stop talking about the South. Long as you south of the Canadian border, you're south. And there's some with the mindset, and I don't know about Canada, but some say as long as you south of the North Pole, you're south. But I'm just wondering. Now, or another thing, could Kaepernick be angling to get traded? I was actually surprised that when Teddy Bridgewater got hurt, the Vikings traded with the Eagles to get Sam Bradford. I honestly thought Kaepernick was going to Minnesota. He gets the chance to get away from Chip Kelly. But like I said, I'm just putting this out there for people to think about. And I encourage you, honestly think about it. Do your damn research. Look the stuff up. Make your own conclusions. That's all I got to say on it. Comment, rate, subscribe. Out.